Imagine a tale spun from the darkest corners of maritime history. A story of desperate men, tropical paradise, and an audacious act of rebellion that defied the might of the British Empire. This isn't merely a saga of mutiny. It's the astonishing account of how a band of renegade sailors, marooned on one of the most isolated islands on Earth, transcended their chaotic origins to forge an improbable democracy. Far from the rigid hierarchies of their naval past, they built a new society from scratch, a living testament to human resilience and the enduring quest for freedom, hidden for decades in the vast, unforgiving Pacific. In the late 18th century, the British Empire stretched its dominion across the globe, driven by an insatiable hunger for knowledge, resources, and power. Naval vessels were the vanguards of this ambition, their sails carrying explorers, scientists, and soldiers to the farthest reaches of the known world. These were grand adventures, but life aboard a ship was brutal. A harsh existence governed by strict discipline, cramped quarters, and the ever-present threat of disease and the sea's fury. It was a world ripe for both discovery and dissent, where the line between duty and tyranny often blurred, setting the stage for one of history's most infamous maritime legends. The HMS Bounty, a small merchant vessel refitted for a specific scientific mission, was tasked with transporting breadfruit plant from Tahiti to the West Indies. The goal? To provide a cheap, abundant food source for enslaved laborers on British plantations. Led by Lieutenant William Bligh, a skilled navigator but a notoriously difficult commander, the voyage promised scientific glory but carried the seeds of discontent. This wasn't a journey of conquest, but a botanical harvest, yet the human cargo, a diverse crew of sailors, botanists, and officers, would soon find their destinies irrevocably intertwined with the delicate plants they were meant to carry. Captain William Bligh, though an exceptional seaman and cartographer, possessed a temperament ill-suited for long voyages and close quarters. Known for his explosive temper, public berating of officers, and petty tyrannies, he created an atmosphere of fear and resentment aboard the Bounty. His perfectionism bordered on cruelty, with even minor infractions met with savage punishment. Every lost coconut or perceived slight fueled his fury, alienating his crew and especially his young master's mate, Fletcher Christian. The paradise they sought in the Pacific would only intensify the hell Bligh created on his own ship. After a grueling 10-month journey, the Bounty reached Tahiti. What followed was a 5-month idyll in a Polynesian paradise. The crew, starved of comforts and female companionship, were enchanted by the island's beauty and the welcoming nature of its people. Many formed strong bonds, some even taking Tahitian wives. The strict naval discipline began to fray under the spell of tropical abundance and newfound freedom. This prolonged stay, a stark contrast to the misery of life under Bligh, would prove to be a fatal indulgence. The return to the confines of the Bounty and Bligh's renewed tyranny would be unbearable for many. The order to depart Tahiti was met with profound reluctance. Tears were shed, goodbyes exchanged, and some sailors even attempted to desert, unable to forsake their new lives. Once back at sea, Bligh's temper, perhaps exacerbated by his own unfulfilled desires or the crew's perceived softness, erupted with renewed ferocity. The petty cruelties escalated, culminating in accusations of theft and incompetence leveled against Fletcher Christian, humiliating him publicly. The dream of Tahiti morphed into a haunting memory, deepening the chasm between commander and crew, pushing Christian to his breaking point. In the pre-dawn hours of April 28, 1789, near Tonga, the boiling point was reached. Driven to desperation by Bligh's incessant abuse, Fletcher Christian, along with several armed crewmen, stormed the captain's cabin. Bligh was dragged from his bed, bound, and brought on deck. His pleas for mercy were ignored as he, along with 18 loyalists, was forced into a small, ill-provisioned launch boat. It was an act of audacious rebellion, a point of no return. The mutineers, now masters of the Bounty, had seized their freedom, but at a terrible price. They were now outlaws, hunted by the most powerful navy in the world. Against all odds, Captain Bligh, a man known for his resilience, performed one of the greatest feats of navigation in history. With minimal provisions, no charts, and a quadrant as his only instrument, he steered the overloaded launch across 3,618 nautical miles of open ocean. For 47 days, he and his loyalists battled storms, starvation, and constant threats, eventually reaching Timor. His survival not only stands as a testament to his extraordinary seamanship, but also ensured that the mutineers' crime would not go unpunished. Their freedom would be fleeting, their names forever etched in infamy. Meanwhile, the mutineers, now burdened by their desperate act, were adrift in more ways than one. They first sought refuge on Tubui, another Polynesian island, attempting to establish a settlement. But their attempts were clumsy, their interactions with the local inhabitants quickly turned hostile, and the memory of Bligh's discipline was replaced by their own internal squabbles. The idyllic vision of a new life proved elusive, punctuated by fear of discovery and the growing realization that their paradise was crumbling around them. They needed a sanctuary far beyond the reach of any empire, any map. Desperate, Fletcher Christian made a bold decision. They would seek an uncharted island, an absolute refuge where no ship would ever find them. They returned to Tahiti briefly, gathering provisions and, more importantly, Tahitian men and women who willingly or unwillingly joined their quest. It was a perilous gamble into the unknown. They scoured the vast expanse of the Pacific, their charts increasingly useless, their hopes fading with each empty horizon. They were not seeking a new home, but utter oblivion, a place so insignificant it would simply cease to exist on any European map. On January 15, 1790, after months of fruitless searching, a lookout spotted land. It was Pitcairn Island, a tiny, volcanic speck barely registered on old naval charts, mistakenly charted hundreds of miles from its true location. Its rugged cliffs and lack of a natural harbor made it an uninviting prospect, but its isolation was its ultimate appeal. This was the perfect hiding place, remote, challenging, and seemingly untouched by humanity. The mutineers had found their sanctuary, a prison and a haven wrapped into one, far from the prying eyes of the world they had abandoned. To erase any trace of their existence and signal their irreversible commitment to this new, isolated life, Fletcher Christian made the ultimate statement: the bounty would be destroyed. On January 23, 1790, the magnificent ship that had carried them across oceans was run aground, stripped of anything useful, and set ablaze. The inferno lit up the night sky, a symbolic severing of ties with their past, with Britain, and with the law. From its ashes, a new, desperate society would slowly emerge, founded on mutiny and fear, shrouded in the smoke of their burning history. For the next few years, Pitcairn Island became a crucible of simmering tensions. 9 mutineers, 6 Tahitian men, and 12 Tahitian women found themselves marooned together. The power dynamics were volatile, fueled by racial tensions, disputes over women, and the potent allure of rum distilled from native plants. Fletcher Christian, initially a leader, struggled to maintain order. This was no paradise. It was a powder keg. The initial years were marked by a grim descent into violence, a brutal struggle for survival and dominance, threatening to extinguish their fragile settlement before it ever truly began. The inevitable happened. In 1793, a bloody massacre erupted. Driven by resentment over the women and their subjugation, the Tahitian men rose up, killing Fletcher Christian and 4 other mutineers. The remaining mutineers retaliated, leading to further bloodshed. Within a few short years, almost all the mutineers and Tahitian men were dead, often by violence, leaving behind a community predominantly of women and children and just 4 surviving mutineers. Pitcairn was a desolate echo of its intended paradise, a testament to humanity's darkest impulses when left unchecked. By 1800, only one mutineer remained, John Adams, a man transformed by the horrific events he had witnessed. Haunted by guilt and responsibility for the surviving women and children, Adams underwent a profound spiritual conversion. He found solace and guidance in the Bounty's salvaged Bible and prayer book, becoming the de facto patriarch, teacher, and moral compass of the island. He took it upon himself to educate the children, instill Christian values, and establish a framework for peaceful coexistence. This was the unlikely genesis of Pitcairn's unique society, born from the ashes of anarchy. Under John Adams's guidance, and with the women taking an increasingly active role, a new society began to flourish. From the principles found in the Bible and the remnants of their shared past, they established a unique form of self-governance. Decisions were made by communal consensus, disputes settled fairly, and education became paramount. This isolated community, born of mutiny and murder, slowly evolved into a peaceful, deeply religious, and surprisingly democratic society. They were building something extraordinary, not by grand design, but by necessity and shared purpose, far removed from the empires that once hunted them. In 1808, an American sealing vessel, the Topaz, stumbled upon Pitcairn, utterly astonished to find an English-speaking community thriving there. The secret of the bounty mutineers was out. When a British naval vessel eventually arrived years later, they found not hardened criminals, but a virtuous, pious, and well-ordered society led by a repentant John Adams. They chose not to prosecute, acknowledging the remarkable transformation. Pitcairn became a curiosity, a living laboratory of human adaptability and a testament to the unexpected power of self-governance, a beacon of hope born from a legacy of rebellion. The saga of the Pitcairn Islanders is far more than a tale of naval rebellion. It's a profound journey from anarchy to order, from despair to an improbable democracy. These mutineers, castaways from civilization, defied expectation, crafting a society rooted in principles of equality and communal welfare. Their story resonates as a powerful reminder of the human capacity for redemption and the enduring desire for self-determination. On a tiny, remote island, a legacy was forged, not of mutiny, but of the extraordinary ability of people to build a better world, even from the most desperate of beginnings.